What's up, team? It's Super Robot Punch back with something new. Today we're painting a Kevin Mask Kenkeshi figure. Now, Kenkeshi figures are little eraser figures that used to be able to get back in the 80s in Japan out of Gashapon machines. This guy comes from America. He's a more solid plastic, so I figured it would make more sense to get this guy painted up like his anime counterpart, Kevin Mask. So stick around. Hopefully you'll learn something new. I try and go step by step, but a lot of it is just me kind of winging it because your boy is not a pro. Stick around. So after priming him in black, he has one tiny little fleshy spot right underneath the chin part of his mask, and I did that one in a flesh color. Now, taking Macragge blue, and here's where things get a little complicated, right? So the source image, his duster or his slicker, whatever you want to call his big old trench coat, is a different shade of blue than his helmet. His helmet's like a really rich, like almost royal navy blue. I don't have that color. I tried to mix the color and it just was not working out the way I wanted it to, and I couldn't really get the colors to pop. So I made everything basically Macragge blue in terms of the duster and his helmet, but I just highlighted them differently to try and make it look slightly of a different texture. Obviously, I don't want a metal helmet looking like a leather trench coat, if that makes any sense. But yeah, it's a lot of Macragge blue on this guy. Thank God I chose the Space Ultramarines, the Ultramarine Space Marines, Jesus, the Ultramarines to be my initial Warhammer army back in the day. Like everybody else, everybody kind of settles for that Ultramarine blue. So I had a butt ton of blues, just not that pretty bright Royal Navy blue that Kevin Mask's helmet is in the anime. I'm happy with the way he turned out, but I'll let you guys decide. Let me know in the comments if you think I should have did his helmet differently. And if I get my hands on another one, I'll probably change it up. So, next step, his undershirt. I initially mixed Evil Sunz Scarlet Red with Corax White and got a really pretty light pink. But again, the source image, it's almost like a neon pink for the shirt that he wears under his trench coat. So I had to dig into my airbrush paints. I normally don't like using them, but with enough coats, I think it turned out pretty well. You know, it's funny, as I'm editing this, I'm noticing how many times I went over his helmet or his mask. I mean, I think it is the centerpiece, so I did come through with a mix of Macragge blue and Corax White just to kind of do a little bit of highlights on him. Again, hindsight being what it is, I probably should have based it in a metallic silver and then gone back with like a contrast paint, because I have a lot of blue contrast paints. I didn't use a single contrast paint until the end, and that was just to give the leather more accent. Hindsight being what it is, like I said, I probably should have base coated his helmet in silver and then gone over with contrast paints just to make it truly look differently. Live and learn. I'm happy with the way he turned out, and hopefully you guys are too. Next step. And like I told you guys at the top of the video, we're doing Macragge blue again for his trench coat. It's really trippy, right? Because I never usually just prime my models in solid black. I usually like to do like a zenithal highlight. Like if you've seen any of my other videos of me painting models, they always have Z highlights. So it is really different having to come up and see the actual colors and develop volume and stuff like that, just utilizing paint, not necessarily any shortcuts like contrast paint or any of that kind of stuff. Had to kind of get back to fundamentals and just build those layers constantly. I actually really enjoyed it. Coming back to do a little more pink accents with that airbrush hot pink. Don't love using airbrush paints. Again, they're pre-mixed and kind of ready to be shot through an airbrush. So, I'm happy with it, but not crazy about it. Next up, you get to see me contemplate my life choices with this hot pink. No, I'm kidding. I was actually talking to my daughter. It's been really cool. She's been painting with me a lot of times. I'll post her stuff. She did a Moogle from Final Fantasy. Airman Blue's up next to do highlights on his duster. Correction, not his duster. On the weird shoulder pads his duster has. I thought about using this as a highlight, like I initially said. Ended up using it as almost like this teal seafoam green color that he has. I don't know if it's the hood or if it's meant to be a different material on the jacket. All I know is that it's a very different blue on the source image I used, so I made it a very different blue. I think it actually turned out really well. The whole model is a weird combination of blues and blacks and browns. Never used as many blues and browns together because, again, I gave up being an ultramarine guy and switched to Blood Angels because red's my favorite color. So it was, again, it was a trip kind of getting back to basics of using blue. Now we're using Nurgling Green. I was hung up on what color to make his hair. Canonically speaking, it's like a dirty blonde. I could have went blonde and then use a contrast paint to kind of darken it a smidge. I went with this freaking pea soup Nurgling Green, which I'm sure my Chaos fans love this color. First time I ever used the color, I don't even know why I own this color. I've never painted anything other than a Space Marine or like 3D prints that I've bought, but I actually adore the way this freaking green turned out on his hair. It was the perfect color to use for it. Obviously I commit fully to this freaking green, and it turned out freaking beautifully. That's one of those things. Again, the model's just full of like just contrast, and it speaks to the original design of the anime character and how they transformed him from a flat 2D character to the screen. It just it's awesome. It's awesome. And another thing that's awesome, this freaking figure's over almost 20 years old, I think. No, I actually think it's over. I think, they came out in 05, 06? Anyway, and the sculpt holds up. It really does. I had a lot of fun painting this guy, and I knocked his ass over. Now, moving on to the boots, we're using Mournfang Brown. Wanted the boots to kind of pop significantly more, because, again, when you see him in the anime or you play as him in the video games, his boots and his gloves are kind of the highlight of his character. You can really track the individual when he's in the ring and stuff like that on the screen. So I really paid a lot of attention to the boots, and as we go along further, you'll see that I put a lot of effort into trying getting them like a significant amount of like leather-ish texture to them, and with the colors and stuff like that, I use a lot of different browns. Super happy with the way the boots turned out. The gloves too. And as you see, I got it really watered down, this Mournfang Brown, just to make sure to get it in all those little recesses and those little creases in his gloves and stuff like that. It's really interesting. He never actually wrestles in the freaking duster for most of the show. He's usually in a black t-shirt, or he's got like this crazy looking armor. Super cool character. Like, they knocked it out of the park with him. It's just a shame that he's barely in that in the first couple of arcs. He kind of just makes appearances here and there. Love the character though. Not my favorite. We'll talk about my favorite whenever it comes time to actually paint him. So, doing something a little different here. My wife got me these makeup sponges, and I'm using them to kind of build up that like leather color by kind of just like stippling the paint on there. I think it turned out. I went back and hit it with a much brighter highlight later on to trying to get like the peaks of the fingers and stuff like that. Again, used and utilized everything I've learned painting models up until this point, because I really did not want to jack this guy all up, because these guys are kind of pricey, being an old tiny little kind of throwaway figure from back in the early 2000s, which is a shame because the show's excellent, the games are great. I wish they'd make a comeback. All right, the most stressful part. Second most stressful part. We're talking about the most stressful part here when I actually get to it. His eyes are bright yellow. Again, yellow, black, blue, just a lot of contrast and popping in terms of his design. Lucky for me, they're definitely recessed in, so I was able just to kind of get it a smidge on there. Now, Calgar Blue. There's an L there. Now, here's where I'm actually doing highlights on the duster. Kind of stressful, because if you've ever painted a model before, that initial little bit of paint that you put on there is way brighter than what it actually looks like when it's done. At first, I was like, oh no, I messed up. Nope, trust the process, guys. That blue definitely kind of blended itself in. I did a tiny little bit of Macragge blue again to try and blend it, but it turned out, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. Now we're coming back through to highlight the accents on the trench coat. I wish I knew the actual terminology for whatever this other material part is on this thing. But I did 1-to-1 with that sort of teal seafoam color, and I think it turned out really well. I did a little bit of wet blending here to get it not to necessarily stand out quite so much. I just wanted that lighter color at the very peak of the light. Now we're taking a lighter brown, like I said before, and we're just really building up those highlights on his boots and all the actual like brown leather accents. Had to double check it because it looks different on camera than it does in person. But again, happy with the way it turned out. Now, cleanup time. I got pink all over this man's pants. Luckily, his pants are all black. Usually they have silver accents when he's not wearing the duster. Lucky for me, I didn't do the silver accents or else I would have fucked it all up. Excuse my French. But anyhow, so we're coming through with Abaddon Black and just kind of tidying up everything. And where I had the clip when I initially primed him, I was a little sloppy because I primed like, I think 8 or 9 models this morning. And now we're doing hair low lights. There was a bunch of priming. Just trust me, there's a lot of work to be done and I'm excited to get to it. But yeah, so what I wanted to do was build a little more depth to his hair, not just kind of have it looking like hay sticking out of the bottom of his helmet. So I went through with Skeleton Horde and just kind of brought those shadows to the forefront and had to do the front and the back. And it gave me a chance to kind of get in those creases that I missed to kind of even it out. What I did was wick up a little bit of the excess here because as you'll see later, I went back through with that ugly Nurgling green just to kind of bring certain parts of the hair back to the forefront, but still keeping those low lights intact in most places to kind of give the hair more definition and, again, not make it look like hay hanging out of the freaking helmet. Okay, Nuln Oil. Everybody uses this stuff. It's like the Konami code for models. Here, I tried to keep it at a minimum. I had to bring the helmet, the recesses and the visor of the helmet to the forefront. If not, it would have just been a darker shade of blue. Did a little bit of the buttons, and I wanted the belt to be slightly kind of glossy. I think I lost the gloss as soon as I sprayed it with a clear coat, but it is what it is. Next up. Like I said before, we're taking that Nurgling green again just to really bring those highlights back up because I liked it with the contrast paint on it. I just really wanted it to pop again and show that, and utilize that sort of like character contrast that comes with the design of the original character from the manga and the anime that I think is just, it's peak. There's no other word for it. To quote my kids, Dad, it's peak. I'm curious if anybody's made it this far in the video. I don't know. My audience retention is horrible. My jokes suck. But yeah, if you did make it this far, thank you so much for sticking with me. I intend to do a few more of these guys. I got a couple more. I got Kid Muscle. And I got to find some more as I really enjoy painting them. And it's a nice change up from Warhammer and stuff like that. Now, the stressful part, I completely forgot that he has like a feather hanging off the right side of his helmet. I was about to take him outside of the garage and clear coat him and call it a day and take all the glamour shots at the end of it. Then I looked at him again and I was like, man, he's got a really gnarly black line on the side of his head. It's because I forgot to paint the freaking feather. So here we're going through Corax white on the base of the feather and just a tiny little bit of Evil Sunz Scarlet to kind of get that the red effect on the bottom of the feather. It's a nice little detail. Again, they didn't have to model it. They didn't have to do it the way they did it because this was a kid's toy. But the fact that they did, I wanted to put that effort in there and I wanted to highlight it because I do think it gives the helmet, again, that little bit of contrast. Now, we're clear coating it. Clear coating it. Try saying that 5 times fast. It's a key step, especially in a figure like this that does have a little bit of give to it. You want to protect your work. I didn't spend 2 hours painting this guy just to, forget about him and boom, next thing you know, he flexes in a weird way. But here he is, the Tower Bridge specialist himself, Kevin Mask. He stole that move from his father. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you made it this far. Like and subscribe. Do the things.